Welcome to J is for Justice podcast. If live breaking news and following true crime is your thing, then please consider subscribing to my channel. And if you like what you see in my videos, please consider giving them a thumbs up. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to J is for Justice. It is Thursday, March 28th. Welcome to the live stream. We are usually live Monday and Friday, and we've been live every day. So today, welcome in. It is nice. It is so nice here. I have all my curtains open, so my lighting's all off today, but I'm going to have some weird reflections and glares and all that, but it's just too nice not to have the windows open today. So I hope it's not too distracting. Welcome in. Thanks, moderators, for being here today. You guys are awesome. We have the best moderators on the tubes. We are working hard up above for our super chat weekly tip goal and our member goal. If you donate a membership, if you donate a super chat, or you donate to the channel via j4j411.live, and we meet those goals on Friday, I spin the wheel. You get your name on the wheel for great prizes. So if you haven't hit that thumbs up yet, go ahead and do that. Welcome in, everybody. Teresa says, is it true he has fled to the Caribbean? Yes, it is true. He flew there the day of the raids, which we're going to go over all of this. It was a lot to unravel. And it was a lot to get together, and I'm sure I'm not covering close to everything that's out there because they're already calling this the Epstein of the music industry. And they're calling his CEO or whatever, his assistant, the Emily. I looked at Emily. Hi, Emily. They're calling her the Ghislaine Maxwell of the music industry. So I think it's going to get bad. Carrie has been a member for 23 months. Good to see you, Carrie. We're all going to laugh at you today, Carrie, because you have to work. I'm just kidding. Hey, Carchi, says Diddler done it. Oh, man. So do you guys think that he is freaking out? Like, what do you think he's thinking right now? I think he's freaking out. Cuba Gooding Jr., yes, he's mentioned. We're going to go over the lawsuit as well. There's a lot of people mentioned. There's like corporations mentioned. It's not just him. And it's like this huge web. It's like walking into a huge web of people. But unlike Epstein, there's a lot of people speaking out. So lucky for you, Teresa, I have gotten a lot together that we're going to go over today. There's obviously going to be more, but I'm going to give you the lowdown while we watch this live footage. So let me roll this footage. It has no sound. So while you guys watch that, I'm going to read this article about what was going on. So let me get into form here. And thank you for joining, everyone. Thank you for joining. Shimpy, what up? The Cassie lawsuit was the very first lawsuit, which was Diddy's ex. And he did horrific things to her, allegedly. But the latest lawsuit is the one we're going to go through, which is, there's some of it I can't even show because there's photos in there. So, all right. Let's give this a whirl. It was a major show of force, dozens of agents, some heavily armed, descending on Sean Diddy Combs' estates in LA and Miami, which we know it included New York. So this was a triple raid. This is bigger than anything I think we've ever seen, right? Triple raid. Television news helicopters captured the action as the Department of Homeland Security served a search warrant in what officials described as an investigation into alleged S trafficking. claims the music legend denies. 21 months for Olive Juice. Homeland Security investigators yelled for those inside the star's Holmby Hills mansion to come out with their hands in the air. Combs' adult sons later told their father they had lasers pointed at them as they emerged from the home. Combs himself was in Florida at the time. But much remains unknown about the case and how close authorities are to determining whether to file criminal charges. I think after a triple raid by Homeland Security, you can bet your ass there's going to be some charges. Okay, so here is a rundown of what we know and what we don't. And this article is current as of today, the 28th. Sources with knowledge of the operation who requested anonymity because they are not authorized to discuss it publicly said it appears investigators searching Combs' Holmby Hills home emptied safes, which we have video from TMZ of how they left the home. It was in freaking shambles. They emptied safe, dismantled electronics, and left papers strewn in some rooms. That tracks with what some legal experts expected investigators would seek if trying to build an S trafficking case against the hip-hop mogul. Dimitri Gorin, a former LA County S crimes prosecutor who is now in private law practice, said investigators would likely seek authorization to search videos or photographs on any devices connected to the target, anywhere digital images can be found in connection to S conduct that would have been recorded. It is unclear what was recovered in the bi-coastal searches. Federal authorities spent several hours at both homes. Sources said Combs was in Miami at the time, but was not at his Florida home when the raid occurred. No one has been arrested in connection with the investigation, although two of Combs' sons were briefly detained in the Holmby Hills, on the Holmby Hills property. And Brendan Paul, a man described in a recent lawsuit against Combs as a confidant and drug mule, was arrested at a Miami airport at the same time the raids were being conducted. Miami-Dade police took Paul, 25, into custody on suspicion of possession of cocaine and marijuana-laced candy, records show. Sources told the Times that Combs is the subject of a sweeping inquiry into S trafficking allegations and S assault. The investigation comes after 4 women filed civil lawsuits accusing Combs of rape, assault, and other abuses dating back 3 decades. One of the allegations involved a minor. So we were talking about Cassie, his ex, and someone made mention of the age difference. So when he initially got together with Cassie, she was 19 and he was 37. So let that sink in. 19 years old. And all she wanted was, to make music. And she went on to make her own, be her own prodigy. But she was 19 years old. And he was 37. One source familiar with Homeland Security's criminal inquiry said investigators have interviewed some of the people tied to the S trafficking allegations, and they have, in the Combs case, convinced one or more federal magistrates that they had enough probable cause for one or more search warrants. And this is from Megan Blanco, a defense attorney who has handled sex trafficking cases. Given the scope of the investigation, it seems they are further along than most investigations. She also said that the allegations involving a minor could be a key focus in the inquiry. If a minor is moved across state lines for the purpose of S, that is enough for at least an argument of S trafficking because someone underage cannot consent. Trafficking for adults usually involves some sort of coercion or other restraints. Prosecutors would need to show you, quote, he encouraged someone to engage in sexual activity for money or some other inducement. Aaron Dyer, one of Combs' lawyers on Tuesday, called the raids a witch hunt and criticized how they were conducted. Yesterday, there was a gross overuse of military-level force as search warrants were executed at Mr. Combs' residences, Aaron Dyer said in a statement. This unprecedented ambush, paired with an advanced coordinated media presence, leads to a premature rush to judgment of Mr. Combs and is nothing more than a witch hunt based on meritless accusations made in civil lawsuits. There has been no finding of criminal or civil liability with any of these accusations. So, how can they even think that there's not going to be any kind of criminal charges after this? How could Combs not be the target? A triple raid? Come on. So it says sources in Combs' camp who requested anonymity say the star remains in the U.S. and authorities have not taken his passport. They said Combs had been scheduled to depart by plane Monday for a spring break vacation with his school-age daughters, but opted to delay the trip after learning of the searches. So I don't know. I thought we saw his plane in Barbados or something. So yeah, this is the money and the power of the music industry and how some people just do the worst of the worst, I guess, when you can pay people to do things I don't even understand. I want an interview. Like, I want him to be, whatever's going to happen to him for this and all the evidence to come out and all that. But I want an interview. I want to know what goes on in someone's brain when they get to a point of fame and fortune that they do stuff like this, So many are speaking out. So we have, what do we want to do first? Because we have the lawsuit here, which actually has a trigger warning on the lawsuit, which I thought was pretty crazy that the court is actually putting a trigger warning here. Okay, so we're going to watch a clip of Usher in a second on Howard Stern, actually. Cocaine. It's cocaine. So yeah, we're going to be watching some Howard Stern in a second, but we're going to read through this really quick. After Sean Diddy Combs' properties were raided by federal authorities earlier this week amid trafficking allegations, old interviews of Usher speaking about the, quote, very curious things he saw while living at the rap mogul's New York mansion have resurfaced. Now, get this. The prosecutor who secured the trafficking conviction of disgraced R&B star R. Kelly has also weighed in, saying Combs should be very concerned about the raids that took place. Yikers. So the interview we're going to watch a clip of is an interview from Usher's 2016 appearance on the Howard Stern Show. In it, he discussed what it was like living with Combs, who throughout his career has been known as Puff Daddy, Puffy, or Brother Love. Brother Love for a year when he was 13 years old, shedding light on a world of hedonism and shady sexual practices. Combs, who's known for fostering promising young artists such as Usher, was instrumental in molding the singer's formative years. Usher lived in the music tycoon's New York apartment for a year after signing a record deal with L.A. Reid, where he was mentored by the music mogul an experience known as Flavor Camp. Yeah. Flavor Camp. Flavor Camp? Oh my God. Usher told Stern during that time there were some very curious things taking place. He says, quote, I got a chance to see some things. I went there to see the lifestyle, and I saw it. The Burn hitmaker said, I don't know if I can indulge and understand what I was even looking at. It was pretty wild. Usher told Stern that during his time living there, he was often up late partying. He was 13. When asked if he would ever send his children to Puffy Camp, Usher responded, hell no. In a 2004 interview with Rolling Stone, Usher said Combs introduced him to a totally different set of blank sex specifically. He added, quote, sex is so hot in the industry, man. There was always girls around. You'd open a door and see somebody doing it, or several people in a room having an orgy. You never knew what was going to happen. Yeah, the freak-offs. Ugh. And then to think that Usher took poor little Justin Bieber under his wing. How long before that comes out? How long before Bieber is in this mix? During a conversation with News Nation's Ashley Banfield, Nadia Shahada, the prosecutor who secured R. Kelly's trafficking conviction, said the raids at Combs properties are a sign of an investigation is well underway. So let's watch that clip of Usher on Howard Stern. And this was August 22nd, 2016.
I moved to New York City, and I lived with Sean Puffy Combs for a year.
That's the crazy thing. Now, that was L.A. Reid's idea, right? We're sending you over to something called Puffy Flavor Camp.
There you go.
To learn
Flavor Camp.
Yeah,
Flavor
that's
Camp.
what it was called. And you're going to go to Puff Daddy's. He's going
In the 90s, do you understand what that's like?
Puffy's place was like just filled with chicks and orgying like nonstop, right?
No, not really. I mean, but hey, it was curious. I got a chance to see some things.
Yeah, but you were 13. What were you seeing?
I went there to see the lifestyle.
Right.
And I saw it. And it was but I don't know if I could indulge and understand what I was even looking at. It was pretty wild.
So nobody tried to, some woman didn't come along.
I didn't say that.
Okay.
I didn't say that. What I did say is that there were very curious things taking place. And I didn't necessarily understand it.
Biggie Smalls was there.
Biggie Smalls was there. Lil' Kim, Craig Mack.
All these people are hanging around.
Yeah, man. Faith Evans.
And your parents
Jodeci,
were
Mary
okay?
J. Blige. They didn't know nothing about this shit.
Oh.
I was having a good time. You know what I mean?
Does he have you doing any chores? Are you doing dishes at all? I mean, to keep you humble somewhat? Or are you just like, can you stay up till 4 a.m. with them and party?
I mean, I could. I actually stayed up longer than them.
And what kind do you have?
So he got actual custody of Usher. Usher's mom signed over custody for a year. They're all laughing about it, but you know what? We all listened to it. I mean, I didn't hear this in particular, but how many of us heard these things? Which brings me to the next clip I need to pull up here. Give me 2 seconds. This is gonna gross you out, but it's a perfect time to bring it up. P Diddy was on Nickelodeon's All That, and I have a clip. That I'm going to play right now. I might have to pause it and pick it back up because they definitely will strike my video. But here is a clip of All That. And I can't remember the exact year, but this would have been in the 90s. Late 90s, I guess. Watch this.
You know, in situations like this, I always ask myself, what would P Diddy do? What would P Diddy do? No, I don't know. Hey, let's ask him. Oh, okay.
What would P Diddy do?
P Diddy,
What's up?
we can't wake up Shane.
You try symbols?
Yep.
What about sour milk?
Didn't work.
Tell you what. Take this toy
Sour milk. What about sour milk?
helicopter. Put it down his pants.
All right, we'll do.
So he says, take this helicopter and put it down his pants. I mean, as kids, I wasn't a kid, but my kids were kids. And they watched this and thought it was funny, I'm sure, because as kids, we don't think people are going to do this in real life, right? So this kid has like a white
Nothing.
it's like a white substance all over him that's supposed to be
Didn't work.
Spoiled
He's
milk?
Still asleep.
Try this.
Shall I? By all means.
Okay, so this kid has a white substance all over him that is supposed to be spoiled milk, I guess, and they put the helicopter down. Now we know who produced this show, right? Dan Schneider. Dan Schneider produced this show. And we know the allegations against Dan Schneider. So we have Diddy brought into this, right?
You know,
So I wanted to share that because it blew my mind. It absolutely blew my mind. So let's finish up this Usher clip.
Have money? What's going on?
I mean, I had like per diem.
Yeah.
I had like,
What
like
a
a living.
life.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy.
14 years old. You're a dad now. Would you ever send your kid to Puffy camp?
Hell no.
See?
Robin's like, see? Okay, so we're going to read through this New York Post and then we're going to go on to the lawsuit. It says, and this is today, this just came out, or this was actually last night. Sean Diddy Combs' alleged victims talking a lot. Feds claim concrete, detailed, explicit allegations of S trafficking. So you don't have the Homeland Security raiding your shit unless there was enough for a federal judge to write off on it, right? Or to sign off on that. This is, I think, I haven't seen the Nickelodeon show yet. Quiet on the Set. I haven't seen that. But I want to because my kids watched all those shows. What's up, Jackie? Welcome in. Welcome in. Federal officials were acting on specific allegations of S trafficking. Specific allegations when they raided two of Diddy's homes on Monday. And they say his alleged victims have not been holding back during interviews. We believe there is a disturbing history of S trafficking, said the Miami-based officer who spoke under the condition of anonymity. We are responding, this is important, we are responding to concrete, detailed, explicit allegations. This is not random. We didn't choose his name out of a hat. We had allegations we are following up on. And this is Puffy and Cassie. The one that he got with, she was 19. He was 37 and nobody said shit. Right. Because it's always okay for celebs. It's always been okay for celebs to rob the cradle. Always. And I've always thought it was sick. Haven't you guys always been disturbed by actors? And I mean, I remember since I was a kid thinking that's gross. Even musicians, you know, it's always like, oh my God, they're like 20, 25 years their senior. And it's always been because they have fame and fortune that it's okay. We look the other way. We ignore it. Oh, they're Hollyweirds. Well, guess what? I think we need to speak up on that shit now because it's gross. It's not okay. It's not okay for any human being to be 19 and be lured in by a 37-year-old man, no matter what it is. If we saw that in just regular ass people, we'd be like, what the fuck? We'd be like, what is going on with that? They need to expose everything in this. And the fact that these alleged victims are really speaking out and aren't shutting up, I think we're going to get more. Because look at Epstein. We're still trying to get all the names out of Epstein. So this all started last November when his ex-girlfriend, Cassie Ventura, filed the federal lawsuit against him. He settled out of court the very next day. After Cassie filed her lawsuit, the very next day, he settled outside of court. He has not been charged with any crime or wrongdoing at this time. But this officer also said, we became aware of certain allegations during the course of the civil suits against Mr. Combs. You have to understand that we didn't just decide on a whim to search his homes. A federal judge had to sign off. This isn't a witch hunt. They confiscated hard drives, phones, and other evidence. Now, when we go through this lawsuit, you're going to see all the evidence that is probably coming out of this is what helped push this along. Because Diddy had Jones record everything. Everything. The officer tells the Post they are looking for photos, emails, texts, itineraries, hopefully names. There are specific communications that we are aware of and we will be able to access on the electronics. And this is, I don't know who, Cassie maybe? All right, so now we're going to go, let's close that. Yeah, that Usher was, I was pretty shook by that. So this is the actual lawsuit. So if you look at the very top, let me fix this. I hope my lighting isn't too annoying for y'all. Like I said, I have the windows wide ass open. Hopefully no lizards come in and visit me today. If they do, I guess it's good luck. Let me see if I've missed anything in the chat. Oh, I did. We got lots of, okay, so we have Sherry and Rogue and Carrie. Kendo, 7 months already. Karchi, 8 months. And Alip, 21 months. Thank you so much, Kay, for your super chat of $9.99. Getting us closer to those goals, guys. Don't forget that you don't have to leave the stream to go to the j4j411.live/tip site. I'll put the link in the chat right now. If you go there, you can actually just keep watching. Pattern recognition. Jewish record execs like Davis, Grange, Rubin all made billions off gangster rap and destroyed the black community. They use them. These white men use them. And, you know, I've been saying that for a long time, Pattern, that it's just sick. These fat cat white executives, they don't care about anybody but what's in their pocket. You know what I mean? And I just feel like we're seeing a lot of Hollywood and the music industry and everything that goes along with it starting to crumble right before our very eyes. Hey, James Darkstar. Yes, you may. Thank you, Kay, for wanting to become a member. And it's sad, Pattern. It's sad. And that's where I think, all of this is wrapped into some social issues, right? Look how many membership links just went up. Well, they're not all Jewish either, Pattern. They're not all Jewish. I mean, look at the Menendez. Look at Jose Menendez and what he did to his own boys. God knows what Menendez was doing in the industry. God only knows. He was the exec of Sony. You know what I'm saying? Hey, Hope, how you doing? Okay, so it's Rodney Jones is the plaintiff. This is the latest lawsuit. So the very first one was his ex, Cassie, and that kind of opened the door. 2 more came in, and then this is the latest one. So the defendants are listed as Sean Combs, his son, Justin Dior Combs, Ethiopia I don't know if I'm saying her name right. Habtemariam, which is the CEO of Motown Records. It makes me so sad. I don't like hearing that. Corruption within Motown Records. Christina Coram, Chalice Recording Studios, which we're going to look at them. I have them on Google Maps. The Chalice Recording Studios look sketchy as hell. There's boards on the windows of the Chalice Recording Studios where there was a shooting. We'll get into it. Motown Records, Love Records, Universal Music Group. Okay, Universal Music Group is a defendant. The whole shit and shebang of Universal Music Group. The whole shit and shebang of Universal, that ABC corporations. Combs Global Enterprises, John and Jane Doe's 1 through 10. I mean, Universal Music Group? Could this possibly make Universal Music Group crumble? Plaintiff Rodney Little Rod Jones, Mr. Jones, hereby alleges Clive Davis is Universal. He is an evil, evil man too. Okay, so I'm going to read this. This says trigger warning too. So I may scroll past some of the photos because they are pretty graphic and I can't show them here. Like there's actual BLOOD from a shooting. Like there's photos of all this. There's photos of essays and yeah. Oh yeah, Rico is mentioned. It's crazy. All right, so Little Rod Jones, Mr. Jones alleges and for his complaint against defendant Sean Combs, defendant Justin Dior Combs, defendant Lucianne Charles Grange, defendant Ethiopia Habtemariam, defendant Christina Coram, defendant Chalice Recording Studios, defendant Love Records, defendant Motown Records, defendant Universal Music Group, defendant Combs Global Enterprises. So here's a little bit about Mr. Jones. Plaintiff Rodney Jones is an American artist and music producer. Mr. Jones resides in the states of New York and California. Defendant Sean Combs is a rapper and record executive, popularly known by his stage names Puff Daddy, Puffy, P Diddy, Diddy, Brother Love, or Love. Mr. Combs came to fame in the early 1990s with his record label Bad Boy Records, which Pattern just let us know in chat. Clive Davis is the one who gave Diddy Bad Boy Records. He rose to prominence in the music and entertainment industry over the decades and is regularly referred to as a hip-hop mogul. Mr. Combs resides at 200 South Mapleton Drive, Beverly Hills, California, 90024. And we saw that in that footage. I know, brother love. What the heck? So they chose this picture of of Puffy for this lawsuit, which is, I don't know why, I don't know what he's allegedly doing in this picture, but I'm sure he knows. Defendant Justin Dior Combs is the son of Mr. Combs and Misa Hilton. Jay Combs was born on December 30th, 1993. Jay Combs is a producer and actor. He has appeared on TV series like Catfish, the TV show, Wild and Out, and Hip Hop Squares. Defendant Lucien Charles Grange is the CEO of Defendant Universal Music Group. Defendant Lucien Charles Grange resides at, and you know I like to look up their addresses just because I'm nosy to see what these people's houses look like. So he resides at 53551 Ross Avenue. We're going to look up his house in the Pacific Palisades, though. Palisades, whatever. Because you're going to shit. I mean, you probably won't be surprised, but he's got it blurred out on Google. But you can go right on Zillow and look at this. This is actually a $19 million house. I think it was Redfin I looked at. Yeah, Redfin actually had like a street view. This sold on November 2nd, 2012 for $13,000. And it has a Redfin estimate of $26 million. It's a 10,000 square foot house. Yeah. I just find it absolutely insane, the amount of money that these people have. Back to the lawsuit. That's Lucien Charles Grange right there at the top. Number 9 is Ethiopia Habitamariam. She's the former CEO and of Defendant Motown Records, the parent company of Defendant Love Records. So Motown is now tied into this. It was called Flavor Camp, actually. Flavor Camp and Puffy Camp. So she resides at 13701 Riverside Drive, apartment 8, Sherman Oaks, California. I looked at her apartment. It's just a skyrise, like a high-rise building. It's nothing special. Defendant Christina Coram is the chief of staff to Sean Diddy Combs. And she resides at 10445 Wilshire Boulevard, apartment 501, Los Angeles. So this is who they're calling the Ghislaine Maxwell of the recording industry, is this lady. So we're going to look up her address. Let's see where she lives. Wilshire Boulevard. Nice. $1.4 million place here. A 2-bedroom, 2-bath condo. Nice place, huh? She bought it in 2017 for just under $1 million. I'm not sure when she started working for Diddy. Maybe we'll find out. Christina, that's her there. Defendant Chalice Records Recording Studios is a popular recording studio at 845 Highland Ave, Los Angeles, California. Now, this is where I'm going to show you. This freaking recording studio is sketch. Check this out. This is a 2024 or 2022 Google Street View. It's this building right here with the wood over the windows. And this sketchy ass bus van thingy. And a sketchy truck right there. This is the recording studio, y'all. And look at this girl. She's in like cowboy boots. What's going on in this studio, y'all? Oh, I think they're going down. I think this whole thing is going to be blown wide open. I mean, what is this? You catch us on Google? If we catch us on Google, how much shit was caught off Google? I mean, Google only goes by so freaking often, right? And how are you, Detra Ed? I haven't seen you in a long time. I hope you're doing good. That's his van? Yeah, see the white boots? Mm-hmm. Yeah. This is the place. I was shook. I was like, what? This doesn't look like some prominent, popular recording studio. Pattern, thank you for throwing facts in chat. I appreciate that. And you can go back in time too. Like, we can go back to 2017. This is what the place. I don't know when it became a studio, but there doesn't look to be any wood on the windows until 2022. Because this view right here is 2021. It's very strange though, isn't it? Creepy. And then to see that girl walking out, I just thought that was icky. Okay. So that's the infamous recording studio that's supposedly popular and so great. Well, there was a shooting right down the street from there. Let me fix that so we can see. Okay, much better. Ah, Trish, thank you. I appreciate that. Industrial zone? I don't think so. Let me zoom out for you so you can see the area. It doesn't look industrial to me. Watch. It's like residential, actually. If you look here, it's all residential in here. It's just weird. Like, I mean, not that he's going to announce his recording studio, but it looks very sus. There's a Starbucks on the corner, but it's just like hidden in plain sight. You would never know what was going on in there. You know what I mean? Oh, man. I didn't even think about that. Pattern. That brings a whole new level of effery to it. But I was shook by the girl in the white boots. I'm not going to lie. Defendant Motown Records is a record label with a principal place of business located at 1750 Vine Street in LA. And I don't Motown should be in Detroit. Defendant Universal Music is a record label with a principal place of business at 2220 Colorado Avenue in Santa Monica. Lucian Grange is the chairman and CEO of Universal Music. Defendant Love Records is a record label with a principal place of business at 6255 Sunset Boulevard in LA and is owned and founded by Mr. Combs and Motown Records. So Love Records is a spinoff off Motown. I say shut that shit down. If you have enough evidence in your possession or you've done enough for a judge to decide that there's enough evidence to raid your homes for more, You should not have these businesses should not be making money, right? I mean, I know they can't do that, but sickening. Defendant Combs Enterprises is a diverse portfolio of businesses and investments that includes music, fashion, fragrance, beverage, marketing, film, television, and media properties. Their principal place of business is in New York, New York. Combs Global. Rodney Little Rod Jones Jr. is from the Windy City, Chi-Town. He was born and raised in Chicago, Illinois. Mr. Jones is the second oldest son and fourth child out of 9 siblings. Mr. Jones comes from a long line of gospel music influencers. Mr. Jones started playing instruments at the age of 5. He began playing drums in church, and at the age of 13, he picked up playing the guitar. From 13 to present day, Mr. Jones has taught himself to play over 13 instruments. Mr. Jones is considered a musical prodigy. His talents have led him to produce and create a commercial marketplace for music that has been recorded by some of the most prestigious and highly acclaimed artists in music history. Throughout the duration of his career, Mr. Jones has worked on the south side of Chicago music scene, playing with the following legendary greats: Georgia Mass Choir, Donald Lawrence, the Clark Sisters, and the Smoky Norfolk. On or about August 2022, Mr. Jones received a call from Mr. Combs requesting, and this is recent, August 2022, requesting that he produce several songs on a rhythm and blues album titled The Love Album, Off the Grid. Mr. Jones agreed, and his life has been detrimentally impacted ever since. From September 2022 to November of 23, Mr. Jones produced 9 songs on Mr. Combs' Love album. Mr. Jones lived with Mr. Combs for months at a time, spending holidays, birthdays, and missing major family events. Mr. Jones resided at Mr. Combs' residence in LA, New York, and Miami. He also spent several weeks on a yacht rented by Mr. Combs in the U.S. Virgin Islands. The U.S. Virgin Islands? Throughout his time with Mr. Combs, Mr. Jones witnessed, experienced, and endured many things that went far beyond his role as a producer on the Love album. The claims raised in this complaint have been corroborated through witness statements, video, audio recordings, and images that Mr. Jones has in his possession. Mr. Combs required Mr. Jones to record him constantly. This is what's going to get him. His arrogance. His arrogance. This isn't Quincy Jones. This is little Rodney Jones. I don't know if Quincy Jones is alive, though. Oh, yeah, absolutely, Casey. I agree with that. Hang on, guys. I have to go off camera for 1 second. Sorry. I just have to do something really quick. Okay, I know that looks like shit, but just give me 1 second. I'll be back on camera in a minute. Let's keep reading, though. On several occasions... Wait, where were we? As a result, Mr. Jones has secured hundreds of hours, and hundreds is in all bold. Hundreds, because everybody says, why would you be so stupid to record it all? Because these people think that they are above the law and that their money will get them out of anything. And I don't think money can get him out of this. It might help make it a little bit easier for him, but I don't think money can get him out of this. So he has hundreds of hours in his possession of footage and audio recordings of Mr. Combs, his staff, and his guests engaging in serious illegal activity. Mr. Jones has secured irrefutable evidence of the acquisition, use, and distribution of ecstasy, cocaine, GHB, ketamine, marijuana and mushrooms, the displaying and distribution of unregistered illegal firearms. Mr. Combs provided laced alcoholic beverages to minors and S workers at his homes in California, New York, and the U.S. Virgin Islands and Florida. Mr. Combs, Chief of Staff, Christina Karam, KK. She's now going to be referred to as KK. Instructing her staff to retrieve drugs so she can provide it to Mr. Combs for his consumption. Christian Combs drugging and assaulting a woman. Mr. Combs detailing how he planned to leverage his relationship with Bishop T.D. Jakes to soften the impact on his public image of Cassie Ventura's lawsuit. Young Miami's cousin and or assistant essaying Mr. Jones. Actor Cuba Gooding Jr. sexually harassing and assaulting Mr. Jones. Rapper Redacted on Mr. Combs' yacht, consorting with underage girls, S workers, and R&B singer Redacted in Mr. Combs' LA home, consorting with underage girls and S workers. Chalice Recording Studios shooting. So that's the place we just saw that had the wood over the windows. On or about September 12th, 2022, Mr. Combs held a writers and producers camp at Chalice Recording Studio. A writers and producers camp. You hear me? A fucking camp. This is what they call a camp. These are grown-ass men in their 50s. A camp? Present at this camp were Mr. Combs, his son, Justin Combs, and Justin's friend named G.
Like, what the fuck is this? And everybody's like, what the fuck is this?
Mr. G is a 30-year-old tall African-American male. In addition to these individuals, other musicians were present at the camp. This writer has spoken to several musicians who attended the camp. One evening during this camp, Mr. Combs, J. Combs, and G were in a heated conversation. That conversation was moved out of the studio and into a restroom adjacent to where Mr. Jones was sitting. Mr. Jones was approximately 2 feet from the bathroom when gunshots rang out. Mr. Jones recalls hearing multiple gunshots. Mr. Jones immediately went into a state of shock and feared that he would be next. Mr. Jones genuinely believed that he would be shot through the door due to how close he was. After it ended, a crowd gathered around the restroom. When the door finally opened, Mr. Combs and J. Combs exited. G was lying on the restroom floor in a fetal position, holding his stomach and bleeding out of his leg hip area. Everyone stood around looking upon G. Frustrated by the lack of aid to G, Mr. Jones dropped everything, ran to G, and immediately began placing pressure on G's gunshot wound to his stomach. As he was applying pressure, Mr. Jones realized that G was gushing from another area near his leg hip. He decided to lift G and placed him to sit on the toilet. Mr. Jones asked the crowd to call an ambulance. Mr. Jones lifted G and brought him to the ambulance at the studio's front. This was all in that studio. Why am I seeing a bunch of question marks? What are you guys confused about? If they were talking about anybody that was in show business, we would be talking about this, of course. This isn't about anything other than being a predator. Okay? Predators know no color. We were all over Epstein as well. We just didn't get much. So then they have the article here. Mr. Jones has several corroborating witnesses who spoke with this writer anonymously due to the fear of retaliation from Mr. Jones. What are you talking about, camping? They have agreed to speak publicly when subpoenaed. Mr. Jones has the clothing he wore that day and believes it may still have the stains and DNA of G's blood. The following are screenshots of the aftermath of the restroom. Yeah, it's not camping, dum-dum. The aftermath of the shooting of G. Hold on, let me turn this off. It's not camping like, oh, we're going camping in the Tetons. Oh, Davey. Clearly, G was not shot outside the studio as Mr. Combs instructed his team to report to law enforcement. Mr. Combs and defendants LR, MR, UMG, and CRS provided private security for the writers' camp at defendant CRS. The security was porous and lackluster at best. The fact that either Mr. Combs and J. Combs were allowed to enter CRS with guns and those guns were not confiscated is a clear breach of duty by Mr. Combs. As a result of this shooting, Mr. Jones is severely traumatized. Mr. Jones was sexually harassed and assaulted by Mr. Combs. Throughout this time, living with Mr. Combs, Mr. Jones was the victim of constant, unsolicited, and unauthorized groping and touching of his ANUS by Mr. Combs. These events took place in LA, New York, Florida, and the United States Virgin Islands. In addition to the unsolicited and unauthorized touching. Passport, yeah, that's what they call it. That's what they call it. We know more now, don't we? Yeah, it's like a camp. Oh, I'm having a camp. Kind of like, you know, when Joe Namath had a football camp. Weird. Those boys were getting essayed at his camp too. Anyways, in addition to the unsolicited and unauthorized touching, Mr. Jones was forced by Mr. Combs to work in Mr. Combs' bathroom as Mr. Combs walked around naked and showered in a clear glass enclosure. As a heterosexual Christian man, Mr. Jones was uncomfortable with Mr. Combs' advances and expressed his discomfort to the Chief of Staff, Christina Coram. KK responded to Mr. Jones' complaint with, Sean will be Sean. KK also attempted to downplay Mr. Combs' groping of Mr. Jones' ANUS and genitals as friendly horseplay, stating that those acts were Mr. Combs' way of showing that he likes you. Despite these assurances, on several occasions when Mr. Combs began to undress and walk around his house naked, KK would say, "Okay, I'm leaving now," and she would disappear. KK's hypocrisy is breathtaking at best or enabling at worst. Mr. Jones believes that KK aided and abetted Mr. Combs' essay of him and was working with Mr. Combs to groom him into accepting a homosexual relationship. Because they're threatened passport. I mean, come on now. Use your brain.
Babies with them high top white shoes on, with the real hard bottom. When they about
Through those sexually deviant acts, one would say Mr. Combs has a pattern and practice of engaging in such nefarious activity. This ongoing conduct shows that Mr. Combs cannot be rehabilitated. Mr. Combs attempted to groom Mr. Jones into engaging in gay sex. Mr. Combs was aware that Mr. Jones looked up to and idolized music producer Stephen Aaron Jordan, Stevie J. Stevie J is an American DJ, record producer, and television personality. Stevie J was part of the Bad Boy Records production team, The Hitmen. In 97, Stevie J won a Grammy Award for his work on Puff Daddy's debut album. Throughout the late 1990s, Stevie J produced for several artists, including Mariah Carey, Tevin Campbell. God, Tevin Campbell was another kid. He was another little kid. Remember Tevin Campbell? The Notorious B.I.G., 112, Jodeci, Faith Evans, Jay-Z, and Eve. Stevie J was one of the producers on the Love album. And this isn't even about a gay thing to me. It doesn't matter if they're gay or straight. Like, this is all predator behavior. This is coercion. This is threats. This is all of it. It has nothing to do, really, in my eyes, in my opinion, with being gay or not. It's totally out the window for me. I don't care about that part of it. Mr. Combs used access to Stevie J and his knowledge of Mr. Jones' admiration of Stevie J to groom and entice Mr. Jones to engage in homosexuality. Javier, thank you for subscribing. Mr. Combs went so far to share a video of Stevie J. Oh my God. This is where there's a video, okay? I know whatever happened to him. I don't know. Right. Abuse is abuse, Kendo. Mr. Combs went so far. I might not be able to read all of this in its entirety, so you might have to read between the lines here. To share a video of Stevie J anally, you know what, a Caucasian male without protection. This was done to ease Mr. Jones's anxiety concerning homosexuality. According to Mr. Combs, quote, "This is a normal practice in the music industry. Look, even Stevie J is doing it." Mr. Combs informed Mr. Jones that he had engaged in sexual intercourse with rapper blank, R&B singer blank, and Stevie J. Mr. Combs promised to make sure that Mr. Jones wins Producer of the Year at the Grammys if he engaged in this. So now he has this pull to make, or he's making these promises, I don't know, that he would win a Producer of the Year Grammy. The following are screenshots of the video of Stevie J penetrating a Caucasian male that Mr. Combs provided to Mr. Jones. And I'm going to scroll these because it's quite disgusting, okay? Thanksgiving 2022. Mr. Jones is sexually assaulted by Young Miami's cousin. On Thanksgiving Day 2022, Mr. Jones was in Mr. Combs' house located in Miami, Florida. Young Miami and her female cousins were also present. Mr. Combs was intoxicated and offered cocaine to Mr. Jones.
Cocaine.
Mr. Jones believes that Mr. Combs sent her in there to SA Mr. Jones. Or wait, hold on. Offered cocaine. Mr. Jones rejected him and proceeded to walk in the restroom. So little Jones, whatever, goes into the bathroom. While using the restroom, Young Miami's cousin burst into the bathroom and began groping him. Mr. Jones believes that Mr. Combs sent her in there to SA him. As she entered the bathroom, she dropped to her knees and began performing oral on Mr. Jones. Mr. Jones pushed her away and exited the bathroom. Young Miami's cousin did not accept Mr. Jones' rejection, as she proceeded to follow Mr. Jones out of the bathroom. She started undressing and attempted to straddle him and have sex with him in the presence of Mr. Combs and his staff. Once again, Mr. Jones pushed her off. The following are images from a video of Young Miami, her cousin, Mr. Jones, and Mr. Combs. So this guy has video evidence of everything. Thank you for being here, Debbie. Throughout his time with Mr. Combs, Mr. Jones was transported from California to New York, Florida, and the United States Virgin Islands. During this time, he was forced to solicit S workers and perform S acts to the pleasure of Mr. Combs. On or about February 4th, 2023, this is just a year ago, Mr. Combs forced Mr. Jones to bring prostitutes and S workers. What's the difference between prostitute and an S worker? Back to his home in Miami, Florida. It says right here, this writer is in possession of the video and will provide a copy. On or about February 2nd, 2023, incident, Mr. Jones believed Mr. Combs drugged him. Mr. Jones recalls waking up dizzy, naked, and confused. He was in bed with two S workers and Mr. Combs. He also recalls aimlessly wandering around the house with no clothes on. And this is, I guess, video of the S workers in the bed when he woke up drugged. On another occasion in Miami, Florida, on Thanksgiving night of 2022, Mr. Combs asked Mr. Jones and DeForest Taylor to enter the studio bathroom. When he asked them for $100 bill because he wanted them to do coke with him. Mr. Jones was scared, but luckily he didn't have $100 bills, so Mr. Combs waited a little later to do coke with Young Miami. Later that evening, he required Mr. Jones to solicit S workers from Booby Trap on the River, located at 3615 Northwest South River Drive, Miami, Florida. And there's a picture of this place. Mr. Jones did so, and Mr. Combs forced him to engage in unsolicited S acts with these workers. And there's the booty trap on the river. And if you guys have not hit the like button yet, please hit the like button. It really helps get me in the algorithm. I mean, all of this is just being blown wide open, guys. Just blown wide the F open. As part of Mr. Jones' S worker recruitment tools, Mr. Combs provided Mr. Jones with an exclusive bad boy baseball cap and required him to wear it to the booby trap as a signal to any S worker he approached that Mr. Combs was in town. Mr. Jones says he had no desire to visit the booby trap on the river. Mr. Jones had no desire to solicit S workers. Mr. Combs used his power and influence to intimidate and force Mr. Jones into soliciting S workers from the booby trap on the river. As detailed below, now we're going to hear about the tactics he used to get him to do all these things. I know that was a question that somebody had brought up in chat. Apparently, these workers were accustomed to servicing Mr. Combs and would know that he is in town by the sight of the baseball cap. The following are Instagram profiles of two of the S workers that Mr. Combs required Mr. Jones to solicit at his home in Miami, Florida. Mr. Jones had no desire to solicit the individuals in the previous paragraph. Mr. Combs uses power and influence to intimidate and force Mr. Jones into soliciting and sleeping with these women. The following is the phone number of another S worker that Mr. Combs required Mr. Jones to solicit and perform S acts with at his home in Miami, Florida. You do, Joe Butta? 50 Cent hates Diddy. Mr. Jones had no desire to solicit or have sex with the individual in the previous paragraphs. Mr. Combs used many tactics to maintain dominion and control of Mr. Jones. He promised him a Grammy for Producer of the Year for the Love album. He offered him $250,000 to purchase all the instruments he wanted. He promised him ownership of his $20 million property, One Star Island in Miami, Florida. He promised access to record label execs like defendants Lucien, Charles Grange, and Ethiopia H. I'm not even going to say her name. Mr. Combs would often switch up his approach. He would go from promising Mr. Jones the world to threatening Mr. Jones with physical harm. Mr. Combs threatened to eat Mr. Jones' face. Did you hear me? Eat his face?
What?
How did he get that money in the first place? From Clive Davis. Clive Davis. Hi, Jordan. Eat his face? I mean, what the hell? And inform Mr. Jones that he is willing to KILL his mother, Janice, if he must, in order to get what he wants, so he wouldn't think twice to harm Mr. Jones. He said he was willing to off his own mother. On or about July 2nd, 2023 in California, Mr. Combs had a, quote, listening party at his home. Present at this party was R&B artist, redacted, Jay Combs, S-workers, and some underage girls. The event began at 7 p.m. Mr. Combs requested female S-workers and required Mr. Jones to solicit them. In addition to S-workers, there were at least five women in the crowd that were under the age of 16. Oh my gosh, I have the hiccups. Sorry. Mr. Combs forced all the women to drink laced DeLeon liquor. Upon information and belief, Mr. Combs laced the liquor with ecstasy. Yeah, the listening party, just like the writers' camp. Mr. Combs did not check the ID of any of the girls. The presence of the underage women made Mr. Jones very uncomfortable. Yeah, Whitney Houston had an argument with Clive before she died. And I believe her daughter witnessed the argument. And then she ended up dead. I'm telling you, this web could get very, very big. It could get very, very big. He attempted to leave, but Mr. Combs forced him to stay. Mr. Combs went so far as to take his keys to prevent him from leaving. After being forced to drink laced DeLeon shots, Mr. Jones began feeling lightheaded and recalls passing out and waking up at 4 a.m. the following morning naked with a S-worker sleeping next to him. Screenshots of a video from that night is embedded below. So these are underage people. He has all these videos, guys. Mr. Jones is the one who was producing for Diddy, and he's suing him in civil court. This is the latest lawsuit against Diddy. There's 4 total. Mr. Jones believes that Mr. Combs was grooming him to pass off to his friends. This fear became reality when Mr. Combs introduced Mr. Jones to Cuba Gooding Jr. while they were on Mr. Combs' yacht. During the introduction, Mr. Combs suggested that Cuba get to know Mr. Jones better. He then left them alone in a makeshift studio on the yacht. This is Mr. Combs and Cuba Gooding Jr. moments before the assault. As evidenced by a video of which screenshots are embedded below, Cuba Gooding Jr. began touching, groping, and fondling Mr. Jones's legs, his upper inner thighs near his groin, and the small of his back. Mr. Jones's name. Okay, we're on page 22. It's Rodney Jones. Rodney Jones, a.k.a. Little Rod. He's Little Rod, and he's a music prodigy. Okay? That's who the defendant is. So there's a video of Cuba Gooding Jr. groping Little Rod. Mr. Jones was extremely uncomfortable and proceeded to lean away from Mr. Gooding Jr. He rejected his advances, and Mr. Gooding Jr. did not stop until Little Rod forcibly pushed him away. The following is a screenshot of the encounter with Cuba Gooding Jr. He has proof of all this. This is a screenshot of that incident. Lindsay, I appreciate you as well. Thanks for being here. Thanks for being here, guys. We got 354 of you here. Have you hit the like button for me yet? That's all I ask. That, and let's hit these goals up above my head, y'all. Throughout his time with Mr. Combs, Mr. Jones was under an implied work for hire agreement. He was not compensated for his time living with Mr. Combs or for the songs he produced. He was the listed producer for the following songs on the Love album. Mr. Combs and defendants all benefited from Mr. Jones' work product. They failed to compensate him for his work. Mr. Jones attempted to work with Mr. Combs to secure his publishing and royalty rights for the work he completed on the Love album. Mr. Combs only offered Mr. Jones $29,000 for 13 months, thousands of hours of work and 9 songs. Ironically, Mr. Jones was willing to take $50,000, his publishing and royalties. Mr. Combs' self-serving greed would not allow him to pay Mr. Jones an additional $21,000. And it says here in this footnote, Mr. Gooding Jr. has a storied history of essaying and forcibly touching individuals against their will. Mr. Combs' deceptive business practices became so bad that Mr. Jones was left with no choice other than to make a public plea on social media for Mr. Combs to pay him his work. After publicly requesting he do the right thing, Mr. Jones received an onslaught of threatening messages from Stevie J and Love Records A&R to Forrest Taylor. So they called him a liar and a weirdo. This person, DeForest Taylor, can't even spell. You're a Lair and Werido. Mr. Combs used his power and influence to threaten and intimidate Mr. Jones. According to Mr. Jones, Mr. Combs is very forceful and demanding. Mr. Combs does not take no for an answer when often threaten to inflict bodily harm. As detailed above, Mr. Combs threatened to eat Mr. Jones's face. On another occasion, while standing in Mr. Combs' bedroom, Mr. Jones was forced to watch as Mr. Combs displayed his guns and bragged about getting away with shooting people. Mr. Combs shared he was responsible for the shooting in the nightclub in New York City with rapper Shine. He shared that the artist, this is where J-Lo comes in. You guys were wondering about J-Lo. He shared that artist and Mr. Combs' girlfriend at the time, Jennifer Lopez, a.k.a. J-Lo, carried the gun into the club for him and passed him the gun after he got into an altercation with another individual. So J-Lo was carrying the gun for Diddy, handed it to him after he got into an altercation with another individual. So this is already involving a lot of people just from this. The shooting in Chalice recording studios confirmed Mr. Combs' statements. These statements reinforced Mr. Jones' fear of Mr. Combs and strengthened Mr. Combs' dominion and control. Mr. Jones was terrified of Mr. Combs. He felt like he could not tell him no. Mr. Combs consistently made it clear that he has immense power in the music industry and with law enforcement. This is where it gets dirty again. Mr. Combs made it clear that his head of security, Fahim Muhammad, had the power to make people and problems disappear. Now, I believe, let me make sure here. I think this was the same guy who worked for Michael Jackson. Yes, it is. The head of security for P Diddy testified in the Michael Jackson homicide case against Conrad Murray. He was Michael Jackson's bodyguard. Boy, oh boy. And then you think about Michael Jackson and his riff with Sony Records before he died. There's Fahim Muhammad right there. Mr. Combs instructs his staff to always contact Mr. Muhammad if they are ever pulled over by the police in Miami or California. Upon information and belief, Mr. Muhammad spoke with the LAPD after G was shot at CRS. The LAPD was in CRS and witnessed the blood in the restroom, and they went with the bogus claim. Look at this, LAPD. And they went with the bogus claim that the shooting occurred outside of the studio. This was all thanks to Mr. Muhammad's connections with law enforcement. Mr. Jones had no reason to disbelieve Mr. Combs, as he had seen firsthand that the silence of the LAPD and the media that Mr. Combs indeed had the power to harm him. The LAPD spent hours in CRS after the shooting of G, yet there were no arrests. Mr. Jones witnessed the LAPD in the restroom pictured above, yet no arrests were made. The morning after the shooting, Mr. Jones and several others arrived at CRS, and G's blood was still on the floor of the restroom. Mr. Combs hired a cleaning crew to clean it up. Mr. Jones recalls seeing defendant Grange, which is Lucien Charles Grange, Motown Records. Oh, wait. They profited off of him is what he's claiming here. This is weird right here, okay? So Grange, this Lucien Charles Grange, would visit Combs at his homes. And this is like the CEO. This is the record exec. You guys would come to Sean's house. It would be in the evening, and him and Puffy would disappear for hours into Puffy's bedroom. So the record exec would spend hours in Puffy's bedroom. Defendant Grange sponsored and attended several Love album listening parties at Mr. Combs' home in LA. These parties were sponsored by the defendants. As evidence above, these parties had S workers and underage girls present. During these parties, defendant Grange knew or should have known that Mr. Combs was drugging the attendees through lace bottles of tequila and vodka. It is no secret that Mr. Combs had specific bottles of alcohol designated for females and other bottles designated for his staff, his artists, and himself. This fact was detailed by former artists and bodyguards of Mr. Combs. As a sponsor of these events, Lucienne Grange had a duty and obligation to ensure the S workers and underage girls were not present, and that Mr. Combs was not spiking the alcohol with date rape drugs. On YouTube channel The Art of Dialogue, former bodyguard Gene Deal exposed Mr. Combs' pill mixing method used to spike cranberry juice and orange juice. According to Mr. Deal, Mr. Combs would place ecstasy and other date rape drugs in the juices. On YouTube, The Art of Dialogue, former artist Mark Curry exposed Mr. Combs spiking bottles of Moet champagne in the VIP section of nightclubs. Mr. Combs would have a set of Moet champagne bottles for his artists and a set for women. This writer has spoke with several employees of Mr. Combs who witnessed defendant Karam instruct her staff to lace champagne, DeLeon, and Ciroc liquor bottles with ecstasy and other explicit drugs. Mr. Jones recalls seeing defendant Hab Miriam visiting Mr. Combs in Miami and LA. According to Mr. Jones, whenever defendant Hab Miriam visited Mr. Combs, it would be in the evening and she and Mr. Combs would disappear for hours in Mr. Combs' bedroom. According to Mr. Jones, defendant Hab Miriam visited defendant Combs at defendant CRS during Mr. Combs' writing camp. She sponsored and attended several Love album listening parties. These parties were sponsored by the defendants and had S workers and underage girls present. Defendant Christina Coram is the Ghislaine Maxwell to Sean Combs' Jeffrey Epstein. According to Mr. Jones, during the 13-month he lived and traveled Mr. Combs, this was 13 months, he witnessed Mr. Combs display and distribute guns from his bedroom closet in Miami, Florida, and LA to questionable individuals dressed in all black. So he was giving guns to people dressed in all black. According to Mr. Jones, he witnessed defendant Karam openly order her assistants to keep Mr. Combs high off gummies and pills. Defendant Karam required all employees, from the butler to the chef to the housekeepers, to walk around with a pouch or a fanny pack filled with cocaine, GHB, ecstasy, marijuana gummies, and Tucci, a pink drug that is a combo of ecstasy and cocaine. Wow. This is why Rico is mentioned in this. It is important to defendant Karam to have Mr. Combs' drug of choice immediately ready when he asks for it. She also ordered S workers for Mr. Combs. She also ordered and distributed ecstasy, cocaine, GHB, ketamine, marijuana, and mushrooms to Mr. Combs and his celebrity guests on his rented yacht and his homes. On multiple occasions, she forced Mr. Jones to carry Mr. Combs' drug pouch against his will. As the chief of staff, defendant Karam was instrumental in organizing and executing the RICO enterprise. Defendant Karam had the following individuals execute the following tasks for the RICO enterprise, which means more than one with drugs, like a ring. Stevie J, he recruits the S workers and attends and participates in freak-offs. Justin Combs, the son, solicits prostitutes, underage girls, and S workers. Would engage in freak-offs. Brendan Paul works as Mr. Combs' mule. We heard that he was actually arrested in Miami airport. He acquires and distributes Mr. Combs' drugs and guns. And they say that they have video of them doing all these things. Brendan Paul and Mr. Combs here. Brendan Paul is 25 years old. Frankie Santella works alongside Brendan. While Brendan acquires and distributes Mr. Combs' drugs and guns, Frankie carries the money and pays for them. Moy Bond hires S workers and attends and participates in freak-offs. Yeah, participating in freak-offs with your dad. Exactly. Mr. Combs funded and used his affiliation with local gangs and gang leaders who would frequent his homes in LA and Miami to secure the drugs and guns. Defendants executed their RICO enterprise with threats of violence, threatening to eat plaintiff's face, displaying and distributing guns, bragging about having law enforcement under control, bragging about unaliving people, and bragging about bribing witnesses and jurors in the criminal case concerning the 1999 New York City nightclub shooting with Shine. Defendants executed their RICO enterprise with threats of isolation from the music and entertainment industry, parading powerful music industry executives such as the defendants. Okay, so here we go. Mr. Combs is allowed to wreak havoc. While living and traveling with Mr. Combs, Mr. Jones discovered that Mr. Combs has hidden cameras in every room of his homes. Mr. Jones believes that Mr. Combs has recordings of defendants Lucienne Charles Grange, as well as other celebrities, music label executives, politicians, and athletes. Yo, what did they get in those searches? This is going to be jaw-dropping, I think. What are you guys thinking so far? Yes, it's so freaking gross. They have not pressed any charges yet. They haven't pressed any charges on him yet, but I think it's coming. So he had cameras in every room, and according to Little Rod, he recorded everything. So again, other celebrities, music label execs, politicians, and athletes. Upon information and belief, these individuals were recorded without their knowledge and consent, as is the case with the homosexual sex tape of Stevie J that Mr. Combs provided to Mr. Jones. So they may not know that they were even recorded. So some of these people may not even know that he has them recorded. Upon information and belief, Mr. Combs employs Jose Cruz as his IT director. This writer has spoken to several former employees of Mr. Combs who confirmed that Jose Cruz is the gatekeeper to all of the Mr. Combs recordings. So Jose Cruz is the gatekeeper of all these recordings. Upon information and belief, Jose Cruz intentionally hides behind the camera and from social media and internet. Jose Puff's tech guy is in his contacts. I think that is... Let's see. Here's some about the nightclub shooting. Upon information and belief, this RICO enterprise has existed for at least 20 years, dating back to the 99 nightclub shooting in New York City, when Mr. Combs required his then-girlfriend, Jennifer Lopez, to transport his illegal firearm into the New York City nightclub. Mr. Combs forced his then-artist Shine to assume responsibility for the shooting of several individuals. Mr. Combs uses power, money, and influence to bribe jurors and witnesses, such as the friend of the shooting victim, Natania Rubin, who reported to law enforcement that she saw Mr. Combs and not Shine pull the trigger and shoot her friend in the face. Natania later testified at Mr. Combs' criminal trial that she was tying her shoe and may not have seen who shot the gun. She later confessed that Mr. Combs paid her. Dude, this is some dirty, dirty, dirty stuff. The RICO enterprise continued through the years, including during Mr. Combs' 10-year relationship with Cassie. According to Cassie's civil complaint, this RICO enterprise continued in her relationship when Mr. Combs forced her to carry his gun in her purse, forced her to engage in unwanted acts with male prostitutes, forced her to consume dangerous amounts of ecstasy, cocaine, GHB, ketamine, ketamine, marijuana, and alcohol, and paying a member of his security team $5,000 to blow up the vehicle of Kid Cudi because he was jealous and insecure of their relationship. Wow. And he's saying he's got all of this on video in his possession. Just scrolling through this. Some of it's repetitive. And this is over 3 states, you guys. Robin Greenhill, the accountant, would ensure the wiring, funds transfer, or cash payment to S workers. Frankie Santella, Moy Bond, Brendan Paul, and KK would also be responsible for ensuring payment to S workers in cash. Young Miami, Jade, and Daphne Joy were paid a monthly fee to work as Mr. Combs' S workers and received payment via wire transfer from Robin Greenhill. During the 10 years preceding the filing of this action, it says they all did this, racketeering. This goes on to talk about mail fraud and things like that. Let's see what this is. SA and S sexual harassment. Ugh. Mr. Combs violently gripped and palmed Mr. Jones' ANUS. Gripped and palmed? How do you palm something? What does that mean? What does that mean? His ANUS and crotch without consent. Mr. Combs forced Mr. Jones to work in Mr. Combs' bathroom and watch him as he showered. Mr. Combs forced Mr. Jones to work in Mr. Combs' bathroom and watch Mr. Combs as he showered. He forced Mr. Jones to work in the studio while Mr. Combs stripped naked to get his body massaged. Mr. Combs forced Mr. Jones to work while Mr. Combs walked around naked. The fuck? Emotional distress. This is just disgusting. Young Miami's cousin. All of this is just detailed more of what we just read. Cuba Gooding Jr. Yeah. So what I want to show you is, and I'll put the link to this if anybody wants to read this for yourself. Let me go ahead and drop this link in the chat. I know, Myron, right? It's really bad. And there's more that keeps coming out. So if you pull up, I have Pacer. There's more complaints that have come out. Usher was not mentioned in this. No. Not that I know of. Not that I saw, Jordan, but there's more. Yeah, there's more being added to the case, but I keep checking for criminal charges and there's not yet. Let me see if I can pull up and show you guys his case in Pacer. Isn't this disgusting? It's nuts. And I think more and more is going to keep coming out. And God knows how many are going down with him. You know what I mean? Yikes. So we've got Michael Jackson's bodyguard who was present and like testified to how Michael Jackson's kids reacted when they saw him dead, and it's really, really crazy. This web, it seems big, but I think it's gonna be smaller than we think, so to speak. Why are these the ones who are put in front of our children? Justin Bieber, yeah. I mean, his mom moved him from Canada to the U.S. under Usher's wing, right? And Usher was on that show around all those children. What was that stupid show that he was part of where their chairs spun around? That's why I don't like any of these shows, you guys. I tell you this all the time. I'm not impressed by these people. I hate these shows. They're not, in my opinion, they're not reality shows. They're gross and they're fake and they're, God knows what they're taking advantage of. America's Got Talent or whatever the hell it is. It's all kids, little kids. Criminal Med, we played that earlier. All right, hold on. I'm pulling up his case on Pacer. Give me a second. Oh, yeah, and the whole Dan Schneider business. It's like, I don't like any of those shows because I just feel like it's always just been weird to me. Okay, let's see. Why isn't this? I had to choose criminal. I was pulling up all these bankruptcies. I'm like, that's not him. Anyways, I'll get that pulled up, and as things are added, I will we'll go over them. I can't imagine my child to be a performer and push him to do it. I know, it's like we used to be so envious of all these people. But let me show you guys that one video again of the All That show.
You know, in situations like
What would Diddy do? We're going to watch this one more time. If you missed it earlier, he was on Nickelodeon's All That. We know that Dan Schneider was the producer for this show. This was a children's show. It was supposed to be funny, you know. Take a look at this.
You know, in situations like this, yeah, I always ask myself, what would P Diddy do? What would P Diddy do? No, I don't know. Hey, let's ask him. Oh, okay. P Diddy?
What's up?
We can't wake up Shane.
What is he reading, by the way? I wonder what he's looking at there. Everything's going to have different meanings now. When you know, I haven't seen Quiet on the Set yet, Jordan. I definitely want to do a watch party in our Discord for that. Thank you so much, Olive. Gifted a membership. Thank you. Sybil, welcome. And thank you so much for your super chats, Shell. Yeah, Amanda Bynes. All these kids. There's tons of them. Tons of kids. Think of all the kids that were on these shows that we don't even know who they are, you know, that were affected by this crap.
P Diddy?
What's up?
We can't wake up Shane.
You try symbols?
Yep.
What about sour milk?
Sour milk.
Tell you what, take this toy helicopter, Put it down his pants.
All right, we'll do. Come on, Diddy. Austin!
So he's laying there with a white
Didn't work.
substance
He's still asleep.
all over him.
Try this.
Shall I? By all means.
Thank you, Byron. Yeah, very, very disgusting. Thank you so much, Myron. I am going to get myself a couple cheeseburgers. 2 cheeseburgers and fries. He knows that's my favorite. I love you, Myron. Thank you. So, yeah, I thought that was a really disturbing clip there. So, I think that is it for today. We have let's see if we can find out where he is. Sean Diddy Combs doubles down on innocence as his alleged drug mule is arrested. Let's see what the updates are. Sean Diddy Combs broke his silence to deny all wrongdoing. We read that earlier, which also this week, a man police have described as Diddy's drug mule, Brendan Paul, 25, was arrested by federal agents in a Miami airport while he was allegedly carrying contraband inside of his personal travel bags. So he was arrested on the same day as the searches. And he is also named in the lawsuit we just read. Tanika Ray, a TV host and one-time backup singer for Sean Diddy Combs, said she had a horrific experience with the rapper that caused her to avoid him. She wrote in a social media post, to avoid him, I knew to avoid him at all costs. Yes, I danced for him and kept my space. I interviewed him for his projects and kept my space. Nothing that is happening is surprising, she says. She said she would not divulge what allegedly happened to her to avoid revisiting the trauma it caused. Here's the body cam footage of his of the Brendan Paul's arrest. I didn't know we had that.
I don't smoke in front of the family.
So this is his drug mule being arrested at the Florida airport, Miami airport. Bunch of perverts with too much cash. Thank you guys for helping me get to that
Yeah, no, put him in the car.
It's only 30-second clip. But if Diddy was at the airport, why didn't they arrest him as well? I guess they are gathering evidence. I don't know. Rapper 50 Cent's former girlfriend and the mother of one of his children was named as an alleged S worker, and 50 Cent took to social media, posted a picture of him smoking a cigar and said, "I didn't know you was a sex worker," with the eye emojis. "You little S worker. LOL, yo, this shit is a movie," he says. The lawsuit claims Miss Joy was paid a monthly fee for her services. So 50 Cent's baby mama was a S worker for Diddy. And he's like, what?
Yeah.
Oh, look it. Here we go. 2 hours ago. This is today. Sean Diddy Combs' private jet has landed back in Florida after it left the country on the day his LA and Miami homes were raided. The jet flew to Antigua and Barbuda on the day the feds raided the rapper's home. The plane returned on Wednesday morning and has remained parked at Miami Opa-locka Executive Airport ever since. He has not made a public appearance, so he's back. He's back. Now we're going to watch this video of what his house looked like after the raid.
The best part of any
They did not give 2 sheets. Hang on, let's put it on YouTube. Let's watch that on YouTube so we don't have ads. I'm going to slow this down because it's super duper interesting to see what was in his house. Let's go back. Oh, I'm nosy like that, so I'm going to mute it. And we're going to watch it slow-mo. Because I like to see what's in their cabinets. I'm nosy as hell. Yeah, what did he leave out? What did he get out of the country? I wonder if his tech guy is scurrying around. I noticed when I watched this before, there's like a box with like pill bottles in it. There's Lysol. They tore his house up. Well, the plane is back. That's all we know. I guess that's what they said. It was the plane. I know, Annie. Jay in the slow-mo. Well, you can't see it if you don't slow it down, you know? I love slow-mo. Thank you for joining the stream today, guys. If you're new here, please consider subscribing. We are getting so close to 100K, and I would love to have you guys celebrate that with me. We are official. Look at the fucking teddy bears, and there's stuffed animals and stuff. We are at 98,678 subscribers. When we hit 99, I'm gonna shit. I never thought I would see that. I
wouldn't let you sleep in my room if you were growing on my ass.
Passport bro. Don't lose credibility saying he was out of the country. He wasn't. His plane was. I don't know where he is. I just said that. Chill out, bro. How did TMZ get these pics? I don't know. How do they get any inside stuff? There's one of the safes. TMZ always gets the shiz. They move around so fast in body cam, though, that you can't ever see things. This all came out of, I don't know what. What's with the teddy bear, though? There was no little kids, but there was underage. Happy Father's Day board. Oh, his nightstand. Now that's interesting. Oh, Lord. The power of now. Wait, look at all these sneakers. Jesus. Let's go back. This is why I slow shit down. It says, Happy Father's Day. We love you. Bye, Angie. He sure was.
Awesome.
Kanye was right all along. He gave Hollywood the big fuck you, and everybody freaked out on him. And TMZ probably got these because it was like the bedroom and the closet and stuff. Thank you for subscribing, Donna Brooks. Appreciate you being here. One more closer. Look at how they left this. See, there's the box I was telling you about that has like bottles in it. I couldn't really make out what they are, but I think they're probably watching him with like a hawk. There's an empty bottle of NyQuil next to the sink. I noticed that. Yeah, I don't know whose Uggs those are. But look here, there's a... Oh, fudge. Dang it. I didn't mean to do that. There was an ice cream cone. Look, see that? Ice cream cone toy. There's a panda on the bed. There's a big, huge panda. There's also a big green teddy bear in the corner. And several safes on the floor that are open. So maybe this is not his room. I don't know. Thank you, Sybil. Slow mode rocks. There's the big panda bear on the bed. There's another closet. Ransacked the hell out of it. Look at that. The aftermath of Homeland Security. Hi, Sin. How you doing? These must be like his daughter's clothes or something. Well, that's what we got. That's what we got, guys. I think that's all I have for today. Thank you guys for listening. That was a lot. But we've got the bulk of it that's out there now. So I'll probably go live tomorrow. We're covering more of Ruby Frankie in Friday Live. Tomorrow's Friday. It doesn't look like we're going to be spinning that wheel tomorrow, y'all. Oh, the wheel of Friday will have to wait another week because we did not get there. But we still have tomorrow. I don't know if we'll get there, though. Anyways, thank you for watching. Hit that like button. Thank you for getting those bars moving today. I appreciate you. He adopted a little girl? Oh, I didn't know that. Explore says this raid was for a show, a shakedown to send him a message. Seems like a distraction. Why Homeland involved with civil case? Well, now it's a criminal case of S trafficking. And Homeland Security is who handles S trafficking. They're the main agency for S trafficking. You guys have a great day too. I'm going to run our credits and then we're going to dance it out. Yikes. All right, guys, I'll see you tomorrow, 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We have a special watch party Monday at 9 p.m. in our Discord. This is so special, and it's not an April Fool's joke. Oh, it was a joke. Thank you, Michelle Clifford. Thank you guys for being here. Thank you, moderators. Thank you, Nicole B. All right, let's run our credits. Bye, guys. 2 hours on the nose. Thank you so much.
Where do you think you're going? Nobody's leaving. Nobody's walking out on this fun, old-fashioned family Christmas. No, we're all in this together.
Be sure to check out my other videos and playlists for more true crime content. And if that's not enough, you can join our Patreon. Don't have a tinfoil hat? It's okay. We'll make you one. It's that easy. See you guys in the next video.
See you later. Bye.
I don't give a damn. I don't really care about you and your problems. I don't give a damn. You talk way too much. I have heard enough about you and your problems. I don't give a damn. I don't give a damn.
She said, we came home, we planted flowers.
Hold up. Wait a minute. Something ain't right.
You wanna be with me. You're making plans to get to friends, but don't wanna face the fact that I ain't got time for that. Staying up late, sleeping all day, dreaming about Cadillacs. Buying new shoes, hanging by the pool, sipping on cold.
Jennifer loves horses.
Thanks so much, Jennifer.
I don't want Jennifer or two Jennifers. Hi, Jennifer.
Why were you telling her not to fuck herself?